Sweet Home Season 1 is a 10-episode Korean horror fantasy show based off of a Korean manhwa, which is like a Korean manga, basically. It is basically about Hyun-soo. He is a teenager who moves into the new apartment building. He has a tragic backstory, which he'll give out a little bit. But basically, while he's living there, he plans to unalive himself. So we introduce a couple of other characters. He meets a beautiful ballerina on the roof, and she's got this kind of like, she's really immature, and she's really like snarky. And then we meet a groundskeeper, security guard guy, and a couple of the residents. And basically he plans to unalive himself because of his tragic past. However, one of the neighbors turns into a monster and tries to attack him. And he finds out that the city, or the country, the entire country, is now under the effect of this sort of event which turns people into vicious monsters. So to explain the tone, it would be very similar to something like the monsterization from One Punch Man. If you're unfamiliar, One Punch Man is a manga and anime about superheroes, and it's a sort of, it subverts tropes of superheroes because our main character Saitama can kill anything in one punch. And the monsters in that manga, basically, their obsessions become part of their transformation as a parody of sorts. So if you're a person who likes to, you know, get roided up and you take too much steroids and become to the point where you just become like a monster, and all of a sudden your teeth become like super sharp and you become like steroid king or something. That would be an example of like a monster in One Punch Man. They don't put too much emphasis on the monster's origins in that. But this one is different though. A lot of the monsters you can become anything basically. And so there is actually like a roided up protein monster in this series. And you can, you know, transform into any form of deadly or non-deadly thing. And different monsters, there's also different designs, and some of them attack humans, some of them don't, so there's some cool world building in that sense. But basically, Hyun-soo basically has to navigate this because he's kind of you know, the average civilian doesn't know how to fight. So he's got a broomstick, he doesn't know what to do, and he starts meeting all the wide cast of characters. You've got a paraplegic former soldier who's good at making makeshift weapons. There's a couple of kids. There's an old miserly man who owns a store and his wife. There's a woman and her dog. There's a cowardly guy who likes to eat. There's a weak guy. There's a soldier, firefighter lady. There's a gangster. There's a huge, wide cast of characters, and they explore everything really in a very concise manner because it doesn't have you can't indulge in too much character development because, like, for example, Lost is like, I think it's over 300 episodes. They would have an entire episodes based off one character and have flashbacks for the whole thing. But in this, you only have 10 episodes. So they quickly dole out character development in quick, small, short flashbacks for some characters. Some get more than others. Some are more useful than others. And, you know, there's some standouts in there, like the firefighter lady. Everyone likes CO. She's pretty awesome. And then basically, it's a desperate fight for survival. And the tone of the show is basically The Mist, the 2007 film on steroids, because it's basically just them trying to survive, find a way to get food, water, fight off monsters, you know, and then they find out that people are turning into monsters and they don't know how. So that becomes a sort of a lingering threat as the series goes on. In terms of like the technical design, the show is made for cheap. It's only made for $27 million, which is pretty cheap for a you know, 10-episode series. Sometimes it looks a little janky. The monster designs, sometimes they look a little weird. And there's like a fight scene in a car that looks really bad. But other than that though, it's pretty violent. It's a post-apocalyptic disaster monster story. And it definitely doesn't pull back punches with stakes or anything like that. Also, they've already greenlit season 2 and 3, but in terms of other things, they keep using an Imagine Dragons song, and like the first time you use it, it's okay. The second time gave me chills, but they keep using it over and over, and it becomes like a crutch. I don't understand why they kept using it. They were trying to like force a mood. I liked some of the other musical motifs, but the Imagine Dragons song got old really quickly, and after like the 5th time they used it. And another thing, the pacing is a little bit weird in the second half. Episode 6, 6, 7, and 8 have weird cliffhangers. I don't know why they feel like they need to do that. It's because we've already, if you're already on episode 6 or 7, you're probably going to finish it off. So I would only do cliffhangers for the first couple episodes to hook people in, and you don't need to like go that far. It was really annoying because sometimes you just want to watch one episode and save the rest. You don't have to watch everything in one go. Sometimes I'd like to watch 1 or 2 episodes and then stop, but the show kind of makes you force you to do that. And they rush little things at the end, and there's not much of a finale. I mean, sure, some things happen and some characters don't make it, but the story doesn't get to progress that far. But we are getting season 2 and 3 soon, so there's not a big complaint. But if you were to watch this back in 2020 when it first debuted, you'd probably be like sitting there like, what's going on? It's been 3 years. And so in terms of that, there's not much of a resolution for season 1, but stuff does happen. And it definitely introduces a lot more plot elements, and we get to see more things going on, hopefully, as we go to new locations and things like that. So Sweet Home is a solid recommendation for me if you want something, in the vein of that. It's a very suspenseful, action-packed. Some of the character work is a little bit shoddy for the main character, but other than that, though, it's really enjoyable. Lots of standout characters, decent acting, pretty solid. I liked it.